Hi, my name is Sybil Mullen, and this week the subject is evaluating market effects. I picked interest rates as my topic. What to know about interest rates? Interest rates are probably the single most important financial metric that's tracked and used by finance professionals in all walks of financial services. Interest rates refer to the rate at which central banks lends money to various banks in a country. The importance of interest rates stems from the following facts. All financial assets in an economy, including equities, bonds, real estate, etc., are valued based on the benchmark interest rates in the economy. Interest rates directly impact various macroeconomic factors. Interest rates determine the cost of borrowing for people in an economy, thus the cost of owning a house, car, business loans, or pretty much anything else is directly dependent on the prevailing interest rates in the economy. And the exchange rate between two currencies is directly influenced by the prevailing interest rates in the two economies. So roles of interest rates in decision making. The valuation of financial assets. In simple words, interest rates, also known as risk-free rate, represent the risk-free rate in an economy, including the return an investor can make without taking any risk. Using this as a basis, the investors evaluate the risk in an asset and thus decide the required rate of return on their investments, and they are valued in markets accordingly. The higher the interest rates in an economy, higher would be the required rate of returns on risky assets and vice versa. As expected, returns determine the valuation of assets. The higher interest rates lower the valuation of financial assets, and the lower interest rates lower the valuation of financial assets. Thus, investors use rates to calculate the required return on investments. Macroeconomic decision making. In terms of macroeconomic factors, the prime examples are inflation and the GDP growth. Low interest rates mean cheap credit, which pushes GDP growth higher, and vice versa. Similarly, low interest rates increase consumer spending, and thus inflation goes higher, and vice versa. Therefore, central banks use monetary policies to stimulate growth in an economy or control inflammatory pressures. They do so by changing interest rates as the economic situation requires. If it wants to stimulate growth or push inflation higher, it would cut interest rates and vice versa. Capital decisions by financial managers. As I previously stated, interest rates determine the cost of capital for all businesses, and thus all financial managers use them while making decisions to source financing and optimal capital structures. Applications by professionals. Entry-level professionals would require to use interest rates to calculate the cost of capital of their businesses and to judge the appropriateness of various sources of debt funds available to the business. Mid-level professionals use interest rates to determine the viability of a new project or business lines by forecasting the expected rate of returns on the projects and comparing it with the cost of capital of the business. Executive-level professionals need to analyze interest rates to gauge the broader economic trends and thus prepare the mid to long-term strategic plans of expansion of their company's business. Ethical issues related to interest rates. Interest rates in an economy should be managed not just purely on financial basis, but it must be ensured by governments, central banks, planning commissions, and financial institutions that the weaker sections of the society don't bear the burden of the extremely high interest rates. For example, the interest rates for business loans and farming loans shouldn't be the same as farmers are more economically suppressed. The government should ensure that small businesses, farmers, and other weaker sections of the society should be able to avail loans at affordable rates of interest. Similarly, the interest rates for necessity-based loans, such as educational loans, affordable housing, etc., should be ethically kept at more affordable levels than other loans, such as car loans and etc. Learning this week, it really brought home for me. It made more sense when we were talking about bailing out, over the years through not only this administration, but past administrations that we've had, the past, 20 some odd years politically, where we're bailing out the farmers and giving them better loans, or even bailing out the businesses and realizing why people were so upset about bailing out big business, why we had to bail out Sally Mae and her going defunct, and then understanding where we need to save the farmers. This week it really helped me to understand that more and completely be better informed as a layperson. References and the end.